Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Welcome to r/AmITheButthole, one of the best subs on Reddit, where all of us get to judge strangers on the internet. If you ask me, a great way to pass the time. Now, as usual, over the course of the last week or so, this sub has yielded some amazing stories. And this first one, by user/dullamy, is particularly funny, so let's get straight into it. So, I live with two roommates, 28 male and 21 female, who are less than helpful when it comes to cleaning the house. Wet clothes are left in the washer for days on end, food is left rotting in the fridge and in the sink for several weeks if I don't clean it. They also just casually throw garbage into the yard. I've asked nicely multiple times for them to clean their mess, and even not so nicely a few times. I am far from the most hygienic person in the world myself. I'll leave dishes until the next day, and just general untidiness. But they take it to a different level. All of this filth, since my refusal to clean it anymore, has brought some new roommates for us. Mainly giant rats, which seem to have moved into our yard. The kicker is, my roommates are both absolutely terrified of rats. A plan soon hatched in my mind, and with a bit of creativity, some invisible thread, and an old bristle broom, I now had a 4-rat. I named him Ronald. Every few days or so for the past 2 weeks, I've been placing it in the corner of the kitchen, and waiting for one of them to walk in. Then, I yank Ronald as hard as I can, at an angle so he shoots towards them. Each time, they've run from the kitchen, screaming in fear. I won't lie, I very much enjoyed doing it at first, but kinda felt guilty at having made a grown man bawl his eyes out, and thought the lesson has probably been learnt. So, I decided to have a house meeting about the infestation, and how they don't feel safe in the home anymore. Personally, I didn't feel safe with a pan of veggie rice rotting on the countertop for 12 days, but hey-ho. I simply stated that if they just cleaned up their junk, the rats would most likely disappear. Lo and behold, the place was spotless within an hour. And since then, there has been a lot less mess. Ronald has been put into retirement and is resting in my bedroom, ready to pounce if ever needed again. But, did I take it too far? No, P, I don't reckon you took it too far. That is hilarious and amazingly creative. And if this is a strategy that has truly worked for you, I reckon it's a good one. And here's our next post by user/coffeegrinder11. The coffee shop near my house just reopened. So I went in for a coffee on my afternoon walk with my 9-month-old daughter yesterday. It wasn't busy, but because only 3 baristas were working, only 2 were serving customers, the service was slow. That's fine, I wasn't in a rush. But the second I walked in, I was struck by how loud their coffee grinder was. It wasn't just shut off in a few seconds though, but kept going and going, since the third barista was grinding a huge bag of coffee all at once. Within the first minute, my daughter wakes up and keeps screaming no matter how much I try to comfort her. After 5 minutes, I ask the barista if she could stop using the coffee grinder as it's disturbing my baby. And she agrees and turns off the machine. While I'm waiting for my drink, I manage to get my daughter to start dozing again, until the barista turns on the grinder again, making my daughter cry all over again. At this point, I snap at the barista for turning it on when I'm still there, as she can clearly see that she's caused my daughter to cry again. The barista says she was doing something else with the grinder that was more urgent. But could she have really not waited until I left? Anyways, the other baristas were extremely cold to me, and didn't even say anything when they gave me my drink. I mailed the manager when I got home, explaining the situation. And today, the manager replied and apologized for what happened. In return, I got a free gift card. I was telling my husband this, thinking he would be excited about the gift card. But he doesn't think that I should have emailed the manager at all, and that I overreacted. But the manager agrees that I was wronged here. Am I the butthole? Alright, I'm sorry OP, I'm gonna have to go with you're the butthole. The barista there was just doing their job. You know what would have been funny? is if they didn't actually make your coffee and left you standing there for a while because they didn't have enough coffee beans. I reckon that would have been a funny little bit of revenge. Also, I'm thinking about this email to the manager, and it would have sounded something like, "Dear Sir/Madam, I came into your coffee shop today and your employees were doing their job. I was very unhappy about this." I mean, I get it, OP, you had a young child who you didn't want to wake up, but there is no way you will escape all the noises just happening in the world. And here's our next post by user/RedSuitcase888. This happened last year, and I was telling a friend about it yesterday. She said I overreacted and she would have handled it differently. My daughter was in 5th grade at a regular public elementary school. Now, there's this other little girl in her grade that is just a known bully among the girls. My daughter is very sweet and quiet, and she's never been in trouble before. Now, I think her kind nature has the tendency to make her a target for a bully. This girl has been picking on my daughter for years on and off, as well as lots of the other girls. I tried so many times to contact her teachers, principal, her mum, and school counsellors. Every time, it fell on deaf ears. I know I wasn't the only parent who tried and tried. There were multiple families who were fed up. Well, last year, it was about 2 weeks before school was out. My daughter and her best friend were playing outside. This girl starts picking on my daughter and her friend. My daughter looks her in the face and says, "You're a B. I'm sick of you teasing us. Please leave us alone." Well, this girl goes and tells the teacher. Now, look, I would have preferred my child didn't use that type of language. And we did talk about how she could have been polite, but firm in her words. At the same time, if the school would have done something a long time ago, none of this would have happened. Well, my child's teacher began to scream at my child until she was in tears, and then sent her to the office where she was screamed at for hours. So now she's being bullied by staff as well. I was livid and went into the teacher's office and let her have it. I told her, if you people would have done something about the bullying, my child wouldn't have felt the need to bully this child back. How dare you make my child out to be a monster and bad child when she's been victimized since 1st grade by this girl? The teacher said I should be deeply ashamed of my daughter. Hell no. I told her to F off and pulled her from the school. We'll be attending a private school in the fall. Look, this is one of those stories where if it's exactly as OP says this has happened, I would say not the butthole. If your daughter's getting relentlessly bullied, you're doing the best thing possible. You're letting the teachers know that you're not going to take it. And possibly, if the teachers aren't doing anything about it, then pulling your girl out from the school is a good idea. At the same time, I do have a couple of things in the story that just don't seem to match up. First of all, the fact that your daughter's been ignored for so many years by the teachers, and this other girl, so the bully girl, talks to a teacher once and immediately gets your daughter in trouble. That just seems a bit off to me. I'm not saying it can't happen, because there are definitely biases that people and teachers have, but I'm just saying, sounds a bit weird. Also, the way you say that this teacher screamed at your daughter for hours, it just seems unrealistic. So it's just one of those stories where I'm not sure if I'm getting the full story. If we are, definitely not the butthole, but I don't really want to make a solid judgment on this one. And here's our next post by user/JacksonDelfo. I, 35 male, have a 16-year-old daughter. I've been a single father since she was about 3 years old, as I got sole legal custody due to some of the addiction issues her mother has. We have a really good relationship, but I always worry about her not having a woman to talk to. Over the past few months, she hasn't really seemed to be herself. I know she went through a bad breakup, but I've been worried it's more than that. I've tried talking to her, and my sister only lives down the street, so she's tried talking to her also. But my daughter is really keeping to herself, and it concerns me. She went out to see her friends for the first time since quarantine yesterday, and asked me if I could give her room a quick tidy whilst she was gone. I agreed because she does a lot of chores, but she's not good at cleaning her room. Whilst I was putting clothes back in her closet, I stumbled upon what I now know to be her diary. I should have read past the first page, but I just wanted to know if there was anything going on she wasn't telling me about. There was some pretty heartbreaking stuff for a father to read about how she felt about herself. So, when she got home, I brought it up to her. She asked me why this was suddenly coming up, and when I told her I'd read her diary, she absolutely flipped and told me it was an absolute violation of privacy and that she is completely humiliated. I told her I was just trying to protect her, and she said it was none of my business and locked in herself in her bedroom. And hasn't spoken to me since. Am I the butthole? Look, OP, I get it. I get where you're coming from. You want the best for your daughter, and you thought maybe you could get an insight into what she feels by reading her diary. But I'm afraid you are the butthole. You have violated her privacy. This was the space where she thought she could be safe, where she thought she could communicate her thoughts safely without anyone being able to read them or know about them. Look, honestly, OP, there really isn't much you can do now, except go to your daughter, tell her why you did what you did, and hopefully your relationship can be restored. And here's our next post by user/Choirlander. I, male 29, run a successful event planning business that I started with my ex-wife about 7 years ago. When my ex-wife and I divorced, she also divorced the business. And I then employed about 9 people to work for me. We now have offices, and we have a tight group of employees who are almost like family to me now. About 6 months ago, one of my employees told me she was pregnant. And as a result, she's going to leave the business to be a full-time stay-at-home mum. I had no issue with this, but it meant I had to find a new employee to take her place. I interviewed a lot of people before finding Olivia, who I went on to employ. Olivia has lots of experience and is absolutely fantastic at her job. The clients love her, and she's really in tune with what the client's needs and desires are. The nature of her work is to build a rapport with our clients, which sometimes means social media is added by clients. For my other employees, this has never been an issue. They post respectable pictures of their families or travelling. It's never been a cause for concern. Olivia, on the other hand, thinks herself as a bit of an amateur underwear model, and posts these pictures on her Instagram in very provocative poses. Usually, I wouldn't have an issue with this, but I don't want clients seeing them and immediately looking down on my business. I gave Olivia a warning about a month after she started working for me, and told her to stop posting pictures like that, as it was bad for the image of the company. She said okay, and for a while, she did. But then, after a month, she started posting them again. Even more than she did before. When quarantine began, we were extremely busy, as a lot of clients were calling worried their events were going to be cancelled. And during this time, Olivia was posting a provocative picture once every few days. Out of pure stress, I fired her and told her I didn't want her to work for me anymore. And she said she was going to sue me for discrimination, and claimed I was being sexist, which I definitely wasn't. The rest of my employees are threatening to leave in solidarity with Olivia. Am I the butthole? Look, OP, I see what you're doing with your business and wanting to create a particular image, but I am going to have to say you're the butthole because of the way you treated this issue. Like, there were just so many possible different solutions. I mean, for a start, you could have had Olivia create a separate account which she could have given out to her clients. This could have had all the pictures she posted on the other one minus the underwear pictures. Second of all, this one maybe not so relevant, but maybe this was her strategy for attracting new clients. I don't know what sort of events you were planning, but maybe drew a certain type of audience that was really good for your business. I don't know, I'm just making suggestions. But I think, OP, your decision was not well thought out or well planned, and you really didn't have to fire Olivia, so that's why I'm saying you're the butthole. And here's our next post by user/Pleasant Mongoose. So I, 21 female, graduated college in December and moved back in with my mum to start job hunting. My sister, Amy, 26 female, also has been living here, along with her 3 kids. 4 female, 3 female, and 1 male. She's been doing this since September, rent-free, because her husband of 3 years, Steve, 30 male, filed for divorce. He kicked her out after finding out she'd cheated on him with an ex, and Amy took the kids with her. Before this, she was a stay-at-home mum and hadn't worked since her first kid was born. They're not officially divorced yet. The virus stopped my job hunt, so I'm an Uber Eats driver right now. Amy spends her days going woe is me and complaining about Steve. The kids definitely miss their dad and only see him on the weekends when he's not working. Mum's always been a pushover when it comes to her grandkids and Amy, and doesn't push her to find a job or pay for anything. A month ago, my boyfriend, 25 male, sent me an anniversary gift. We're quarantining apart. It was an eyeshadow palette that I'd looked at a few months before, but decided not to get because it was pricey. My boyfriend remembered the name of it and bought it for me. I went to work last week and put some eyeshadow on and left it on the side of the sink. Amy and I share a bathroom. When I came home, I went to take a shower and saw my palette was moved. It was in the drawer, not on the sink. I opened it and saw that it was ruined. 2 colours were scratched out and 3 were smeared and dented. I figured my nieces had been playing with it. I went to my sister and confronted her and asked why she hid it. She denied hiding the palette, but wanted it out of sight of my nieces after they'd gotten into it. She told me I should be more careful with my things with kids in the house. I blew up and told her she should learn to watch her kids if she's just gonna sit around all day. She told me not to lecture her on raising her own kids. And I said she was doing a pretty bad job so far. She got really offended and said I was selfish and materialistic and could just get another palette. I told her at least I'm not a lazy mooch and stopped talking to her. Since then, my mum told me I was out of line and that I should apologise, since I don't know how hard it is to raise children, especially during a divorce. I refused and have since moved in with my boyfriend, about 45 minutes away from my mum and sister. My mum thinks this is childish. I'm not mad at my nieces, by the way, just Amy. Am I the butthole? Look, if we're keeping it strictly to OP and her sister, I want to say no buttholes here. Or maybe a slight everyone sucks here. Reddit has voted not the butthole, but honestly, OP, I'm sorry, but you did leave it in the bathroom with little kids around. There was always the chance that they could get into it, whether your sister was watching her kids or not. Even a minute would have been enough for them to slip away and get to this palette. And I think if you just put it away somewhere, that would have solved this whole problem. On the other hand, your sister shouldn't have tried hiding the pallets. She should have just gone straight to you, told you what happened. In an ideal world, offered to get you another one. But I think that's too much to ask of this sub. So that's why for me, this one is sort of a little bit of a split between no buttholes here or a slight everyone sucks here. But Reddit did vote not the butthole, so feel free to leave your opinion down below. And I think that post will be the last one for today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel for Reddit videos 3 times every single week. But with that said, that is it from me. I hope you all enjoyed, and all I want to do is see you all here next time. See you later, guys.